Hello everyone, good afternoon. Bhagya here. I'm the host for this webinar. So this webinar is all about automation using Terraform. I would like to give you all a uh, I would like to invite you all for this interesting webinar that helps you to gain more knowledge on automation using Terraform. Before we dive into the webinar, I would like to give you all a quick introduction about us. So we are Pioneer Business Solutions. We are a leading corporate learning solutions providers and the HR consultancy in the emerging market. So here is a glimpse of our L&D services. We provide end-to-end learning solutions with VILT and ILT and Cloud Lab services as well. We are majorly known for our unique services like open house and webinars. We have more than 1,500 test and tried and tested trainers with us, associated with us, and more than 6,000 freelance consultants with us who are expertise in all the niche and vanilla technologies. We have a dedicated solution team with us who work on the received requirements to make sure we cater the quality support on the solutions part. We have trained more than 10,000 participants across the various cutting edge technologies, and we are present across the country with physical and virtual labs. So here are few of our footprints. So as I told, we are majorly into corporate trainings, information technology. We do provide services for mechanical, civil, engineering services. We do provide cloud services and HR services. So these are the few delivery modes. Hope you all guys know this. So we do provide classroom and virtual trainings. We also provide services for e-learnings and hybrid model where it will be the combination of virtual and classroom along with the mentoring sessions and cloud labs and along with e-learnings. So as I told, our major unique products are open house and mentor on demand sessions. Open house is a batch where we provide training only for the very few participants who are in need to learn the new things. And mentor on demand is like for the participants who have learned some topics through the e-learning modules and they need some uh, uh, doubt clarification sessions or a mentors to clarify their doubts that can be such services are provided from us. And moving forward, these are our offerings. We provide campus to corporate trainings, competency development trainings, and we also provide project consulting services. And we are also provide soft skills and behavioral development programs. We can tell that we are an expertise in the soft skills and behavioral programs here. And coming back to and these are few of our client lists who we are associated with and successfully giving the corporate learning services to them. And coming back to the today's webinar, we have our presenter Jitendra Singh Tomar with us. Hi Jitu, good morning. Welcome to the webinar. Jitu here has more than 10 plus years of experience, including 6 plus years of experience in training and 4 plus in the production experience. He has conducted training for both induction and lateral background. Mr. Jitu is a Microsoft certified trainer on Microsoft Azure. His few key expertise are AWS, Cloud, GCP, Windows Server, RHEL, PowerShell scripting, and etc. Hi Jitu, thank you. You can take over from here.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Bhagya. And hello, everyone. Good morning. So, this is the third webinar. First two webinars we have conducted on PowerShell and Ansible. And this is the last webinar in the automation series for us as of now. So, I hope whatever we have done in last two webinars, you guys have, if you are new, then welcome you all. If you are already part of both the webinars or only one of them, no problem. Both of them are available on YouTube. We'll be sharing the link if you have missed out something. So this is the third and the last automation webinar where we'll be talking about the technology which is gonna be very helpful for you in your future. Doesn't matter you are a developer, doesn't matter with which stream you belong to. If you want to learn automation and you want to excel in the automation industry, then this webinar is for you. So let's get started. So let me share my screen first. Okay. So today we'll be starting with Terraform. Okay, it is one of the most commonly used platform in day-to-day life in any of the production environment where you will be performing several things. I got a question in the chat. I did not enroll previous session. Can you share any documents? Shiv Kumar, we will be sharing the email in the end, and that email will contain all the links for all the tutorials, sorry, not tutorials, all the videos from YouTube which are uploaded. In one single email, you'll be getting all the things, whatever is there. Plus, our email ID will be there with you guys. So if you have any queries, you can just shoot the questions over there and definitely we'll get back to you with a proper answer. Okay, so don't worry about anything. If you have even missed out anything in past, it is there with us. We will be sharing that with you. Don't worry about that. Okay, so guys, one more thing before we can start. If you guys have any questions, so as of now, we have muted all the participants. But if you have any queries, you can drop the question in the chat window, and chat window is open in front of me. I will try to answer all of them. And if I miss anything, then don't worry, we'll take the common questions. And at the end, I'll be sending a separate sheet, which will be having all the answers in it. Okay, so don't worry about that. Now, so we'll be starting with the Terraform. It is one of the most important uh, what do you say, technology nowadays because we are moving towards the automation. Okay, we want the things to be done automatically. We should not be performing manual jobs anymore. Believe me, you guys have to start focusing on the automation. See, I'm not talking only about Terraform. There are hundreds and thousands of things available which are connected in a way with the automation part, but you have to connect yourself with the automation. Reason is very simple. The market is moving very fast, and there is no way where you can survive with the manual, either let's say manual coding or whatsoever it is. You have to start focusing on the automation. And Terraform is one of them that can help you in performing the job. Okay, so if you are thinking what exactly Terraform is, so Terraform is an open source infrastructure as a code tool. Now I have thrown so many bombs over here. Let me clarify a few things. Okay, so open source is something which does not cost anything. Okay, you don't have to pay for it. That means it is free. Point number one. Point number two, infrastructure as a code. Now imagine if you are a cloud engineer and I ask you that, okay, create one virtual machine, let's say Windows virtual machine, and in that install IIS web server. Very simple task. If you know Azure or AWS or any other cloud, you know what are the basic steps. If you are working on premises, you have to install everything from scratch, and possibly within next half an hour, you can give me that machine, that virtual machine. But imagine if I multiply the same question, if the same number by 10, means 10 virtual machines I want with the same configuration. Everything should be same in that. Or let's say, let's take another number. Let's say 20 virtual machines or 50 virtual machines. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Performing that becomes a big deal. Okay, performing the or creating that virtual machine, 50 virtual machines becomes a hectic task. But what you can do, you can't deny It is the requirement of your production environment. I have worked in the production environments where we will be getting a bunch of uh, list of servers with their configurations, and they need within next half an hour or 1 hour, possibly 2 days, maximum 2 days, not more than that. Now imagine working on all the servers one by one, making sure that each and everything is up to the mark, each and every application with the respective version should be available in that particular machine. Imagine how much hectic work it is there. So we have to simply think in that particular manner. When the requirements are in bulk, then how you're going to deal with it. So in these kind of things, we perform programming. We write a program for it. We write some lines of code which will basically do my job. Instead of I am sitting and doing everything manually, I'm not going to do that. Simply what I'll do, I'll write some lines of code and I will execute them. And on behalf of me, those tools will help you out in performing or building or provisioning your servers. Terraform is one of them. Terraform will make sure that whatever you have written, if everything is written correctly, Terraform will make sure that you basically get what you want. Okay, so that is the whole concept of Terraform. It basically builds your entire environment where you can simply play around with anything. And now I'm talking about an environment. I never said it is gonna be only cloud or only on-premises environment. No. Okay, that is the beauty. Okay, so you have to make sure that when you start working on Terraform, you know basically how to deal with a particular platform. If you're working within the VMware environment, Terraform can handle that also. If your company works on Google Cloud, Terraform can handle that. If your company works on AWS, Terraform can handle that. If your company works on Azure, it can also handle it. So this is what Terraform does. Okay, this is the basic introduction. Okay, let's deep dive into each and everything and see what exactly we have to do. Okay, so today's content, what we have to follow, what we have to study is first of all the basic introduction. Then we'll be looking into what exactly technically what Terraform is. The definition which I've given you, it is just the layman's language definition. Okay, why you should be jumping for Terraform, why it is required. Okay, what will happen when you don't use it. Okay, so we'll be talking about that. Terraform architecture, it is not gonna be in-depth architecture, but overall understanding. See, this webinar is designed in such a way that you can finish this 2 hours of session and immediately you can start working on that particular technology. At least the basics will be clear. For any technology, basics are important. So here we'll be clarifying the basics. And later on, if we get more nominations, then we can simply go for the whole day workshop or 2 days or whatever number of days are required for the workshop as well, where we'll be diving into each and every point and then we'll play around with that. Then how basically Terraform works. We'll be talking about some of the Terraform basics and extensions. Basically here extensions are nothing but different file types. Like if you have worked on any HTML, if you have worked on web programming, you know what HTML is. Any HTML file will be saved as .html or htm. Okay. In the same way, you have any C script. So you'll be saving that particular program hello world.c. If it is C++, hello world.cpp. In the same way, Terraform also uses basic extensions in different scenarios. We'll be talking about that. Then some config files we'll be talking. Then we'll be talking about some commands. Finally, we'll be looking into the demo. Obviously, it is not going to be only theory, but we'll be looking into some of the demos. And I don't want to stretch the entire webinar unnecessarily because I'm not sure whether you are from the programming background or not. So what basically I have done, I have created a few scripts that will help you out. Okay, that will be executing over here, but I'll be explaining what exactly is there inside the script. Okay, and we will run that, we'll see whether it works or not. Okay, I've already verified it is working, but it is programming, it can fail anytime. Okay, so we'll be checking that as well. It's all about me, so you guys have already gone through my introduction, so directly jump into, let's jump into the Terraform definition. So what exactly Terraform is? So Terraform, basically, as I told you, it is the open source infrastructure as a code. Okay, so basically it is a tool where you type some code, where you write some code, you run it, and it will be executed on whatever cloud or environment you have selected. On the top of your script, you basically write in your Terraform script, on the top you will mention that with which cloud you want to work, or which environment you want to work with. Basically, we call it as provider. So you give the provider information that what is gonna be the end portion. Either it is gonna be AWS or Google Cloud or anything else. So we will be declaring that particular information on top, and then based on that, your system will basically your entire code will basically get executed, and whatever you have written inside the script, that code will be executed. If you have created something, those resources will be created. If you have removed something, those resources will be removed. If you have modified something, existing resources will be modified, whatever is there. Okay, so here, next thing, Terraform is also basically a flexible tool. It is powerful, it is flexible. Okay, because see, you are able to create something, you are able to modify something, you are able to delete something very easily. You don't require much, you don't have to work on multiple things at the same time. Okay, it is all happening very smoothly. So it is very flexible, it is very powerful tool to basically deal with any type of environment. Okay, with Terraform. Now here I have taken some of the names. Okay, but basically this is not the only list. If you check the Terraform's official website, you will find out that there are tons of resources that can be the tons of providers that are available that can be used basically here, and basically you can simply run anything on that particular platform. So you can create, modify, delete, destroy, whatever you want to call it. Destroy is basically uh, the term we use in Terraform to basically delete anything. So anything can be done on any of the platform. Major platforms I have taken over here: Azure, AWS, Alibaba, Oracle Cloud, including VMware also. Most of the organizations and production environments are working on VMware as well. So even those are available over here. So cloud resources like public cloud providers. So all the cloud providers are available over here. Even the private cloud providers are there. Hybrid network infrastructure, anything. So basically, here, anything that you can imagine as of now can be automated, uh, can be integrated with Terraform, and then you can simply play with that. So Terraform is just a tool where you write the code, and then you let the code do its job. Okay, let it be any environment. Simply you have to perform the proper steps. Okay, there are a number of steps required when you simply run it. Practically, I'll show you all those steps. So why Terraform? Why exactly you have to work with Terraform? So first, multi-cloud support. Okay. So basically what is happening over here, that there are multiple cloud that are supported over here. You can simply use any of them. Okay. Next is declarative syntax. Now, if you have done programming in C, C++, you know what kind of lines of, or how many number of lines of code you have to write, how detailed explanation you have to mention. to basically perform your job. Each and everything you have to clarify. If this is going to happen, then this will be executed. Otherwise, this will be executed. So you clarify everything in depth. But here, Terraform uses declarative syntax, meaning just what you need to write that. Simple. It is very simple. You have to just specify what is your desire for your environment, and Terraform will take care of it for you. Terraform will make sure that whatever you have written is done properly. But here, declarative become very easy. Okay. Next is add important updates. So basically, Terraform ensures that the update to your infrastructures are, you can say, it is same. It is same across all the platforms, all the machines, every time. The entire platform. See, the example which I've taken in the beginning, that you have to create 50 virtual machines, Windows virtual machines with IIS configured in it. Now imagine if you configure 40 properly and 10 of them are not configured properly. We humans do error. That is very simple. Okay, that is very common. But when you hard code that what exactly you want, and then you run that particular script, it is rarely next to, you can say it is next to impossible that the code will not be reflected in your system. So that is the main thing over here. You can have multiple machines with identical, I'll not say similar, it is identical configurations. Infrastructure as code, so meaning you will be managing your entire infrastructure using the codes. Okay. Because of this particular functionality, this Terraform becomes an important part in the DevOps technologies or DevOps tools as well. Okay. Basically, here you can enable version control, you can enable Git over here, you can have automated testing, you can have CI, continuous integration and continuous delivery, CI/CD over here. So basically, you can connect this particular Terraform with multiple tools, and depending upon which state they have left or which state they are in right now, based on that, the code can be triggered and it will work flawlessly. Next is resource graph and same large ecosystem. So basically here, these are the several things that can be the reason why you should be using Terraform in your environment. Next is the basic Terraform architecture. Okay, so here Terraform basically contains very few things actually. You don't have to do so many things. It is just the main concept that you have to remember. What you are doing, you have to remember, and it is all set. Okay. So basically here, if you look at this particular line, let me highlight it. So if you look at this architecture over here, there are multiple stages where you can simply deploy or where you can simply work with your production, your code over here. So here you have the practitioner who will be basically the user, the end user. You will be writing your code, what exactly you want. Okay. So Terraform uses its simple language, declarative language, where you have to simply write the code in a very easy manner. Once you simply write that particular code, what will happen next is you have to implement. See here, after writing the code, you have to initialize your Terraform using a command called Terraform init, which basically initializes the environment. In that initialization, what it does is it gathers all the required information and everything. After every information and every utility is required, it is gathered, then what it will do, or what you have to do next is you have to plan for it. So in planning stage, what generally happens is what the Terraform is gonna do. or what it will be performing is basically displayed here in the planning. And if you have any errors in your code in the plan phase only, you will get to know. When you are building something, you want some few names to be passed statically. Some names or some resources will be listed in the Terraform code itself. Sometimes you need the dynamic values. So all those things can be simply seen over here. Then once you are satisfied with whatever values you want, then you can simply apply those particular codes or whatever commands or scripts you have written. You apply them. Okay, so user will be writing the code over here, then basically they plan for it. Planning is nothing but one of the phase in Terraform where basically each and every validation will be done. It will be verified whether your code is correct or not. It will display all the given values. And then basically you apply that particular code. Then when it comes to the apply part, then you have multiple providers available over here. Okay, let me write down properly. So basically, the programmer or the practitioner will be writing the code using the infrastructure as a code tool, that is your Terraform. You plan for it, next you apply. After that, what happens is you have this provider list. I told you there are multiple providers available in Terraform website. You can go and check over there, the official website. It supports multiple platforms. Depending upon which platform you have to use, as I told you in the beginning, you have to clarify that. You have to tell which platform you are looking for. So it could be Kubernetes, it could be Google Cloud, it could be VMware, it could be Azure, AWS, or anything else. There are hundreds of providers available. You have to just use them. And ultimately, what will happen? It will deploy the code. It will create or update your resources in the end. So ultimately, whatever you have written here in the beginning part, in this infrastructure as a code here, all those commands and everything will be executed on these resources over here. That is the beauty of Terraform. So this is the entire step or the basic procedure that you have to follow. Now, how Terraform works. So basically, if you look at the basic core, so you have some configuration files available. Okay, so configuration files are nothing but some, you can say, uh, line of code written exactly in one of the specific language that is called as HashiCorp Configuration Language, also called as HCL. Okay, it is just a simple language that you have to use to write your own code, and you can simply define everything that you want to create, modify, or delete in this particular configuration. Okay, depending upon the provider that you are using, the entire configuration is gonna work out. Next is initialization. So after you write your configuration, what you do, as I told you, you have to initialize that particular code. Okay, so here, before you basically before Terraform can manage your environment, you need to make sure that the Terraform gets initialized properly using the command called Terraform init, and it will basically download. See what this init is doing. It is initializing the environment for Terraform, which will include all the modules, all the plugins, whatever is there. Simple, if you want to understand this in a simple way, I want to talk to you guys. So basically, I need to gather all the content, all the language, everything. When I have to talk to you, I have to make sure that I am using the correct language. It should be English or Tamil or whatsoever it is. Okay, so that you can understand. That is point number one. Then the content. So all these things are basically getting initialized in this first stage itself. Okay. Then next is third stage, that is planning. Okay. So basically after you have initialized your entire environment, whatever you have written, whatever code you have written in the configuration file, that will be verified. Okay, so what it will verify, okay, what all things are need to be created. It will check what resources needs to be created, what needs to be modified, or you need to delete something. Everything will be done in this particular stage. Next stage is execution. Okay, so basically after reviewing your plan, whatever you have done here, after this particular planning phase, what will happen in the execution? So you can basically apply all the commands and changes that you have done to your environment. For that, you need to use another command called Terraform space apply. Okay, it is simply Terraform apply. So whatever you have understood, whatever Terraform has planned now, it can be basically applied onto your resources. Okay, so whatever is there inside the planning phase, it will be actually implemented in your environment now. Next stage is state management. Okay, so basically Terraform stores all the current states of your infrastructure in a file, in a state file, which will be basically then compared. Like you have written code once and you created one resource. Next time again you run the Terraform code. Next time again it is not gonna create again one more resource for you. It is just waste of time and waste of money. Okay, because I needed one virtual machine and I ran my code twice, so it should not be creating one more virtual machine over there. Okay, so it basically maintains the state of your current infrastructure and then basically tracks each and every changes that you have done over here. And then finally, continuous management. So Terraform continuously monitors the state of your infrastructure resources and updates them as it is needed. Okay, so basically here, this is the basic part of your CI/CD. Here you can integrate your entire procedure with CI/CD pipeline, and then you can simply work with that. So imagine if a programmer has written a program where particular code needs to be executed. After it is very validated, the moment it is validated, it should spin an environment for you. Okay, it should create virtual machines and install some plugins or roles or whatsoever is there. It should do that for you. Okay, so this is the basic pipeline that you can simply use over here. Now some of the Terraform basics that you should be knowing. Okay, that is the basic structure. Okay, so here if you look at the names, it is very simple. Terraform basics are very simple over here. We have configuration, we have provider, we have resources, we have modules, we have state management, CLI, command line interface, then we have a plan, and then we have basically apply. But here, what actually you have to know is the term that we will be using here in the Terraform. So if you look at the first name, that is configuration. The Terraform uses declarative language, as I told you, HCL it uses to manage what exactly you want. Okay, all those things will be available inside one single configuration file. Then next is the provider. So Terraform supports multiple cloud platforms. Some of the names have taken like AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, Oracle Cloud, Alibaba. All those things are there. These are the providers that can be integrated inside Terraform, and then you can simply work with that. Then third is the resources. Okay, so Terraform manages resources like virtual machine, virtual networks, storage accounts. If you talk about specifically Azure, and in AWS side, you have EC2, S3 bucket. All those things can be managed or can be considered under the resource. Each and everything simply can be defined over here, and then you can simply manage that. Each and every resource can be managed properly in Terraform. You have to create a virtual machine with 4 GB RAM. Okay, you have selected a particular code, you can say the the family of the virtual machine on Azure you have selected. Okay, that needs to be deployed on multiple platforms, or you need to basically create multiple virtual machines using the same family. Then in that case, Terraform can simply take the same name and then spin multiple virtual machines for you. Okay. Next is modules. So Terraform modules are simply reusable block of code that contains all the details in it. Okay. Modules basically can be used for creating more complex configurations. Okay. You can integrate multiple uh, resources together. So all those things can be done with the help of module. Next is state management. So Terraform maintains, as I told you, it maintains the state of your infrastructure resources in a file. And then whenever you make any changes, it will compare. It will check, okay, do I have the current uh, environment available? Do I have the current resources available? If not, create them. If they are there, only few modifications are required. It won't spin new resources. It will take the same existing environment and then apply the modifications onto it. Okay. So Terraform automatically manages the state file. You don't have to do that. Okay. But it is a very good technique to basically maintain your entire environment. Next is command line interface, or CLI. So Terraform provides CLI that you can basically use to initialize, plan. So whatever we are doing, actually, it is done with the help of commands only. Okay. Whatever I told you, you have to initialize anything, there's a command for it. You have to plan the phase of your code, there's a command for it. You need to apply the changes, there's a command for it. You need to destroy whatever you have done, there's a command for it. So there's a command for everything in Terraform. Okay. Next is plan phase. So before applying changes, Terraform generates a plan that shows what changes will be made to your resources. Okay. So it's like if you want to change something. Okay. Now, if you take any other, like if I take the basic example of PowerShell, okay, I have written some line of code in PowerShell and I hit on that play button or that execute button. I am not completely sure how my script is gonna get executed until it succeeds or it fails. It fails, then I have to review, okay, this is what I have done by mistake, and let me delete the resources or let me modify the existing one, and then I need to deal with it. Here, before your resources are actually deployed, you are creating a plan for it. Okay. You create a plan. If anything goes wrong, the plan will show you that on the screen itself. Okay, this is required, this is not available, this is missing, this is created but not used. Whatever is there in the planning phase, it will actually tell you, it will give you a complete, you can say a simple log on your screen that what went wrong. Okay, so it is actually a very good thing. And then finally, we have the apply. After reviewing the plan, whatever is there inside this particular, you can apply the changes by running a command called Terraform apply. And that will basically do whatever is written inside this. If it is written that you have to create certain resources, it will create. You have to modify certain resources, it will modify, delete, whatsoever is there. But whatever you have written in this configuration, the same thing will be applied over here and you will get what you have desired for your environment. You'll exactly get the same thing. So that is the beauty of Terraform. Okay. Now, there are some config file extensions available. Okay. So I told you that there are some configurations that you have to make. The details will be saved or the state will be saved in a particular file. So these things are done in different stages or different files. So here One of the file is .tf. Okay, like whenever you create a C program, you write hello world.c. Here in Terraform, if I create something like that, I will give the name as hello world.tf. Okay, so that is the primary extension we have. So TF is basically Terraform. Okay, now here when you work with the Terraform, I don't give hello world.tf. Actually, technically speaking, we give the name as main.tf. So basically what this main.tf is doing, it is telling that it is the main file where you have to perform anything and everything. That is what you have to do over here. Okay, so next is tf dot tf vars. Okay, so if you look at the name closely, tf is again Terraform. Vars is basically for variables. So tf vars is a basic file that contains all the variables in it. Okay, so you don't have to declare like earlier in my earlier stages of programming. What I used to do, on the top of my script only, I will create all the variables that will be used in that particular program. Okay, ideally what we have learned, you create a variable whenever it is required and then simply use it. But more efficient manner is when you know that what exactly you have to do, you can take all the variable names and keep it on the top so that it becomes easy for you to change the values within the variables and then simply run it. It becomes actually quite easy. Okay, but here in Terraform, what they have done, they have taken all the variables out of your main configuration file and put it into a file called .tfvars. You give any name variables .tfvars and put all the variables inside it. So next time when you have to change something, you don't have to search all the variables again and again. Just go to this particular file and then do the modification. Simple. Next is tf state. So this particular file basically stores the current state configuration of your environment, of your resources. Okay. Initially, when you run this, you don't have to create it. Okay. You don't have to create it. Terraform will do it for you. When you run it at that particular time, it will create a TF file. It's, you can say it is just like a backup file. Okay. When I used to program, I used to write code. What I will do, I will write one code, and then when I have to write the second module of that particular code, I will take the backup of this code, keep it aside, and then work on the second part. So that the first part which I've kept it untouched, that is basically a backup. So what Terraform will do, it will create a state file, a backup file, so that you can simply understand what all things are available and what is not available as of now, and then simply deal with that. TF plan, when you basically apply the plan, okay, it will show you all the contents over here. So it is just the summary of what is gonna happen will be displayed in this particular file. And then finally, we have TF ignore. As name says, it is not at all mandatory file. You can completely ignore it. Okay. But sometimes you want Terraform to ignore something. You keep that particular file name in this particular in this file so that it will ignore it. So in a program, when you write something, you mention comments over there. Why we write comments in a program? So that you ignore the compiler can ignore what is written after the comment, and it is just for the human understanding. You don't want kernel or OS kernel to read that particular code. Same way, tfvars is doing the same thing. Sorry, tf ignore is doing the same thing. Okay. Now, Terraform command. So these are the commands basically which will perform the job that we are talking since beginning. Okay, so we have Terraform init, which basically initializes all the Terraform modules and everything. Okay, so basically you have to remember one thing. Whenever you are working with Terraform, in whichever directory you have kept all the code, okay, assume my path where all my scripts are written is E drive, okay, and there is a folder called TF. Okay, this is my path where all my scripts are available. But currently, my PowerShell points to another drive that is D colon something like this. And if I am on this path and then tries to run the Terraform init, nothing will happen. So you have to make sure that in whichever directory you are keeping your main.tf file, in that directory only you have to execute this Terraform init command. Okay, otherwise it will not work out. Actually, you have to execute all the commands in that particular location. In my case, E colon Terraform folder. You have to go inside this and I have to make sure that wherever I am executing, .tf file is available in that particular location. Next is Terraform plan. So basically, it is gonna create the execution plan that needs to be executed. Terraform apply. So whatever is planned over here, that will be applied over here. Okay. Next is Terraform destroy. So as name says over here, maybe you are doing some testing. Okay. After testing, generally, what you do, you have to delete all the resources one by one. But if you execute this Terraform destroy command in that particular session, when you are running the all the commands all together, in this session, when you execute Terraform destroy command, whatever you have created will be removed automatically. Don't worry, it will not delete the existing environment. It is gonna only delete what you have recently created in that particular execution phase itself. Okay, so Terraform is not gonna impact your existing environment. Next is Terraform validate. So this command validates the syntax of your Terraform configuration file. We write the code for Terraform in the config file in the .tf file, but it is written correctly or not. So that can be done using that can be verified using the Terraform uh, validate command. Okay, it checks whatever you have mentioned. It checks for all the errors and ensures all the files are available in place or not. Next is Terraform state. The command is Terraform state. So basically, this command provides various sub commands to manage your infrastructure. Okay, something like you want to inspect the current environment or current state. You want to move resources. Okay, you are planning to move some of the resources, or you want to import the existing resources into a state file. Like you want to take the snapshot before you do anything. Okay, so that can be done with the help of the Terraform state command. Then there is another command called Terraform output, which basically displays the values of your output variables onto your screens and wherever you want it. Last one is Terraform refresh. Okay, this command updates the state file with the current state. Like the TF state file will have the data, current data or existing data in it. But next time you modified something and you want the newly updated data should be stored in your state file, then in that case you can simply go for Terraform refresh. So it is useful when the state file uh, gets out of sync. When your data, your current environment and your state file not in sync, then manually you have to refresh them. Okay. So these are the basic commands. I've written only 8, but definitely there are more than that. But for our work, this is more than sufficient for us. This is what exactly we want. Okay. Next demo. Okay, so that is all theoretical part that we should be knowing. Okay. Now for demo, what I have done, let me write down over here. For demo purpose, I have installed Terraform. Okay. Installing Terraform is nothing. You have to go to Terraform website, download the utility, install it in the same way how you install any other application. It's not rocket science. It's not that difficult also. Okay. That is the first thing. Now to write the code. Okay. Code writing I am doing on VS Code Editor. Okay. You can take the default notepad and then you can simply work with that also. Okay. But I have taken VS Code Editor over here. Okay. And you should be having uh, some knowledge on how to work with VS Code. Otherwise, it is very easy. You can browse it. It is just the regular editor only. Okay. You just need to know the basic commands over here, and then you will easily understand that what is going on with the VS Code, why people are actually using it. Okay. It is quite simple. It provides multiple platforms. All those things are very easy over here in VS. Now, this is how the VS Code editor looks like. I am a programmer, so basically I like the black theme of almost every development application, but you can select your own. Okay, I'm not gonna judge you for that. Here I am in the path that is eTerraform. Okay, e:\terraform. In this particular folder, if you look closely, there are two more folders available. Okay, these are basically two examples which I am gonna execute now. Okay, so here one of the application or folder name is Azure app, the other one is Azure VM. So as name says, the first is gonna create an Azure application for me. Okay, that Azure application is nothing but a simple web application, internet based web application, which will be installed and configured on two virtual machines. And there is one load balancer public IP in front of it. And the second one we have is a simple Linux based virtual machine. Okay, so these are the two programs that I'm going to execute over here. So this is the basic you can say the basic code that we need to execute. Okay, now the very first command, if you remember, we have seen is Terraform. Okay, init. Terraform init. Now, if you look at this Terraform init, there is something getting highlighted over here. So this is the autocomplete uh, feature of VS Code editor, which basically sense that what you're gonna type and then basically it writes that particular command. You don't want to write, you don't want to follow the same, like I don't want hyphen upgrade as of now. So I can simply ignore that. But if you want hyphen upgrade to be the part of your command, and if you are lazy like me, so definitely just click on the end button or the right side of your keyboard and it will basically auto complete the command for you. You don't need it, you just remove it like this. Simple. Okay, so this is how you can simply play around with it. Now, if I simply go for the command that is Terraform init and hit enter, you can see I'm not getting anything. It says Terraform initialized in an empty directory. I told you, you have to always make sure that whenever you are running the Terraform, it should contain main.tf file in it. Okay. The directory has no Terraform configuration. I think this line itself is self-explanatory. You don't need my help in understanding what's written over here. Okay, it's very simple. So I will go now inside the Azure VM folder. Okay, which will have multiple files in it. You can see here there are multiple files available over here. See. Now, if you look at this, there are some uh, files which we have studied, something like main.tf or main.tf plan, output.tf, providers.tf. Okay, I got a question. What are the extensions required and where you go to deploy? Okay, point number one. Here, extension basically clarifies what is the purpose or what is the code written inside it. Extension, only one extension is required if you talk about the general Terraform, that is main dot file name dot tf. But when you write a bigger code, when you write an application, that will definitely contain some variables in it, that will contain some additional values in it. So at that particular time, you have to use or you can use multiple files to basically make your code clean. See, if I have to just modify uh, the variables of my machine, right now there are no variable uh, files available here. But imagine if I have to create, let me check over here. Okay, here it is not there. But imagine if I have to modify a variable, okay, my app name should be app1 and my another app that should be identical, but the name should be different, app2. So for that, I have to just go to my tfvars file and just modify it. So I know that, okay, tfvars is basically for the extension. Sorry, it is for the variables. Okay. So that is the basic usage of extension. Point number two, where I'm gonna deploy all these changes. I am gonna deploy all the changes on Azure portal. Okay. You can take AWS also, but here I'm gonna take Azure. The, the thing that will change over here is, let me show you. Terraform. What do you say? Let's search for Terraform. If you just go for the Terraform website, okay, you have simply download link over here. Okay, clear. You can directly download it from here. Let me go to any of the uh, intro configuration language. Use case. Okay. AWS Terraform. This is much easier than searching over there. Now see, AWS provider. Okay, so here, if you are targeting your program, your code, or your production environment itself is completely working on AWS, then this particular registry will help you out. Okay, you can see Terraform requires blah blah blah. Configure the AWS provider. So here you can see provider is AWS, and here it has mentioned the region. You want to create a VPC, okay, virtual private cloud. In that case, you can simply just write AWS. This is the basic command, AWS underscore VPC. So these commands are only different. Now, if I go for Azure Terraform, okay, if I check the code over here, see, here it says provider Azure RM, and then some of the details like resource, Azure RM resource group, and some name and location is there. So if you look at the codes side by side, check. There's not much difference between the two. Here you are specifying that what exactly your provider is. Here also you are doing the same thing. Okay. Now, depending upon the provider, the code will change. Here for creating resource, you can see here they have mentioned like this, and here it is almost same only. Names are different. Okay. Depending upon what is required for that particular resource, you need to mention those details over here. Okay. So what code, what environment you are using, that you need to make sure you use properly over here. So what I have done in VS Code, I have simply taken all my files over here, and also I have installed Terraform on this particular VS Code. If you're thinking how we can do that, you can simply go for extensions, and then you can search for Terraform, and you can see the names. This one, HashiCorp Terraform. This is the authentic uh, app which I'm using over here. There is one more called Terraform. Directly you can install that. Okay. There are multiple, but basically I generally go for the official one. Okay. So again, you can see there is a blue tick over here. Based on that, I found out, okay, it is actual or not. Even Microsoft provides its own Azure Terraform over here. You can use that as well, or any other Terraform as well. Ultimately, you have to install Terraform on this particular VS Code editor, then only it is gonna work out. Excuse me. We are just installing the Terraform plugin over here. That will make sure that I am able to perform all of my code from the VS Code editor itself. If you install Terraform, you have to open command prompt or PowerShell, and then you need to basically run all the commands and everything. But I need to parallelly write the code as well. So that is the reason I'm installing the Terraform plugin over here on the VS Code editor. Okay, that is the main reason. Now, once you have installed Terraform plugin on your VS Code, after that, you need to tell which provider you're going to use. If it is going to be AWS, you have to use AWS config command over here. Okay, which will, for this, AWS CLI should be installed on your machine. Otherwise, you will get error AWS command not found. Okay. Parallelly, on the backend, if you're working on Azure, you make sure that Azure CLI is installed. If you're working on, let me write down over here. Okay. Terraform plugin in VS Code. Okay, that is required. If you're working on Azure platform, okay, if your platform is Azure, you have to make sure that Azure CLI is installed. Okay, if you're working on AWS, then you have to make sure that AWS CLI is installed. How to install them? Simply type on Google, you will find the download link and all set. Okay. These CLIs are required so that my Terraform can communicate with those platforms. If AWS CLI is not available, I'll not be able to communicate with the AWS. If Azure CLI is not there, I won't be able to interact with Azure. Once you install that, then you have to use the proper command. If you write AWS config, hit enter, and if it is installed, if AWS CLI is installed, then you will get these things in front of you. Access and secret IDs you have to provide, and then you can simply work with that. If you're working on Azure CLI, then AZ login is the command for you. AZ login, AZ login, whatever you want to call it. Okay. And hit it. Hit enter. It will open your default web browser, select whatever ID you are using, and you can see you have logged into Microsoft. It will close automatically. So it is logged in, and you can see it is logged in here by looking at these definitions or these details over here. Okay. Here you can see my mail ID is showing. That means my mail ID is logged in, user type, and the state is enabled. Subscription is available. That means I have logged in successfully over here. Now, once you have logged in successfully to your cloud portal, next thing you have to make sure that you write the actual code over here properly. Okay. So here what I have done, I have already taken the file that is main.tf. Okay, I've already written, because writing these many lines, these many files in 2 hours webinar, it's not possible. That's why I've simply taken all the names over here. all the code over here. Now here you can see here I'm simply showing resource, some resource name I have taken, some RG name and all those things. Then I have provider TF. So basically here is the provider list, which is showing what exactly I want. In main.tf, you're just getting, sorry, main.tf, you're just getting what is required actually inside your environment. But here provider.tf is basically by looking at the name itself, I can see, okay, all the provider details will be available over here. So you can see required provider is Azure RM. Okay. This is the code, basic code, source code required over here. It is required more than two version, random, and other things are there. You can see all those things are clarified in this particular file. And this is how basically you have to write your program also. Okay. You have to use this basic technique like Terraform, JSON, where your key will be there, your value will be there. You have to write these things and you have to make sure that you have written everything properly. So I will go back to main.tf file. And here you can see I am now gonna create some virtual network. How I have written it, ignore it for now. But if you look at this resource, okay, that means it is gonna work on something. It is gonna create something or modify something, some resource. Okay. What is the actual resource? Azure RM underscore virtual underscore network. This is the keyword to manage your virtual network. Then you can give here any name of your choice that you want. Okay, this is the name for calling this code. Inside that, you can see there is a name key available, and in front of that, there is a value available that says my VNet. My VNet is gonna be my virtual network name. Right now, my platform, you can see here, Azure is completely empty. There is only one resource available over here. If you check the resource group, there's only one default resource group available, nothing else. Okay. So what will happen once I apply the changes? There will be a virtual machine, virtual network getting created with the name called myVNet, and it is gonna have the uh, address space as 10.0.0.0/16. Okay, so these are the things that you have to make sure that you fulfill all these things properly. Now, this is the only matter of, you can say, seriousness where you have to actually pay attention, because if anything goes wrong, it won't work out. Okay, that is the only thing. It needs a proper key and its associated value. That's it. There is one more file here called variables.tf. In that, there are two blocks of variables listed over here. Resource group name prefix. By the name itself, you can understand that what it is gonna do. So RG will be written in front of all the resource groups. In the same way, you can define your resource group also. In the same way, you can define your location also. You don't have to write location every time. Okay, just call this particular variable. Just call this particular scope in your code and you are done. Okay. Next, if you look at the location, see, I have clarified the location here in the variables.tf file. Now look at this properly. Azure RM resource group. This is the name of your resource group dot RG. From where this RG is coming, if you look at this one. And finally, you have location and the name. What location, what name you want, everything is mentioned over here. So this is how basically we call the variables from different locations in one single file. So in case if I have to, like, I don't need or I don't like the location. Okay, I don't like the location here, East US. I want it should be East US 2. So I don't need to change or modify the values in multiple files. Just come to this file, modify and save it. Simple. Okay. Now here, when I simply scroll down, you can see it is this code is creating the subnet. This code is creating the public IP. This code is creating the NSG network security group. This is creating the network interface, security group, random text, some random names, and for the random names are getting generated for the resource group. Okay. So here you can see this is how we basically clarify what we want, and this is exactly the same manner actually. Okay, you have to write the same code in this particular manner, and what this script will do, it will create a Linux virtual machine using the username Azure user, and it will generate its SSH keys also, which later on I have to uh, get using a command. Okay, I'll be showing you that. But this is what exactly I have to write. Now let's actually try to see if everything looks good or not. Okay, if it is working or not. So the very first command that I have to run is okay. So here you can see that I have initialized my code by using the command Terraform. Sorry, I have planned it. Now I have a look here. So the entire details are available. You can see admin name is gonna be Azure user, extension is gonna be allowed on that, computer name is gonna be my VM, password is disabled, sorry, enabled. Okay, extension time, ID, and all the things, even the OS disk. Okay, so I can go through each and everything, and whatever is applicable after creation, you can see it says known after apply. Means these values will be only given to you once you apply, after you apply them. Like DNS name is gonna be IP at something something. So IP will be given once you create the resource. Okay, like that, it basically plans up everything and shows here each and everything in detailed format. Once you say, okay, everything looks good to me, I can proceed further with that. Next, what you can do is you can simply use the command Terraform apply. Terraform apply. This will apply the code directly. Hit enter, and we will just wait for some time because it will ask for yes, do you want to proceed or like that. So we have to type yes. Let's wait for it. Come on. See, it started performing the code. Now it is asking 11 plans to be added over here. Okay, zero change, zero destroy. So do you want to perform? Do you want to proceed further? Enter the value. Yes. Hit enter and wait for it. Now this will take time basically, but it will start creating resources over here. It will start creating resources over here. So now we'll just wait for some time. You can see all the logs are getting displayed over here. How much time it is taking for each and every resource. You can see storage account. Okay. After 12 seconds and 10 seconds and so on. We'll just wait for that. So as of now, it has created an RG that says RG settling guppy. Okay, it is just a random name taken by the script itself. And you can see resources 3 as of now. And okay, 5 resources are there. So it is creating, you can see here parallelly. Question, do we need AWS, Azure or GCP account? Yes, we need a cloud account to perform these practicals. Okay, creating these accounts are just like creating any other social media account. You can just create it like that. But like the cloud providers like Azure, they work on credit cards. Okay, you can create only if you have credit card. So you can go for AWS. AWS can be created on debit card also. So here my virtual machine is created. I got this public IP. You can see I got my public IP, I got my resource group name and TLS private key. It says sensitive. That is not showing the sensitive information here on the screen right now. Okay, because this private key is basically private. You know the concept, the meaning of private keys and public keys. So what we need to do now is we need to go for Terraform output command, output hyphen. Yeah, this is the command I'm looking for. Okay, so what it will do, it will take my private key and put it in the file that is id underscore RSA in the same folder. Okay, enter, and it is done. Now I want to connect to my Linux machine. SSH. Okay, here is my IP. I need to replace that. I'll just copy this and paste it. So here in the bottom and done. You want to connect? Yes, there it is. You can see now I am inside Azure at the rate my VM. Okay, if you look at this particular resource group as of now, see my VM. So successfully, I have created my virtual machine and I'm now simply playing with that. This is what exactly I'm trying to explain. You can build, you can modify, you can delete your entire environment by just click of the commands. Simple. Assume that I don't need this anymore. I can simply type exit. I'll come out of this. And the final command that I need to execute is Terraform destroy. And whatever resources, I'm not going to destroy it right now, but whatever 7 resources it has created, it will delete everything with just one single command. Remember one thing, if you have any existing resources available already, it is not going to touch that. It's not going to disturb that. Only what you have done right now. If I close if I close this VS Code and reopen it, this only destroy Terraform, Terraform destroy command is not going to work out like that. You need the current session only. If you want to delete that later on, you can simply delete them manually, or using the state file, you can delete it. But by default, this command itself will remove whatever is created over here. That is how simply you can work with that. Using Terraform output, did you just create a private key? I did not created the private key. Private key was already created. What I did was I took the Terraform output command, and in the raw format, I have taken the same variable. This TLS private variable basically stored, it contains my private key in the session right now. So what I did, I have stored it in the file that is id underscore RSA. So if I look at the file over here, uh, file. So if you look at this id underscore RSA file, if I open it with Notepad, see, this is the code of my id underscore RSA file. This is basically how you can take the entire ID, your private key, and then simply place it in a regular file like this. Simple. Okay, so this is how we are actually working with it. There are multiple ways to deal with it. Okay, this is just one single code where you can simply take all the names and information and whatever is there and put it in this particular manner. There are some codes which we have written earlier where we can simply store it in a text file directly. Like here, I have manually executed this command over here. Next time you don't need it also. You can automate that particular command as well. So simply this is how you can deal with your environment. Now, if you just want to remove that, you can simply take the command here, Terraform destroy. Okay. And what this command will do, basically it is gonna destroy or whatever you have done, it is gonna remove that. So when I simply go for it, it is not gonna remove everything. It will take all the values, it will perform everything, it will validate each and everything, and then it will ask me, do you want to proceed? Yes, no, like that. And then finally, you have all the resources available over here. If none of them are logged, most important thing, if anything is logged, this command won't delete that particular resource. You have to make sure that the resources are not logged. Okay. If they are unlocked, and then simply you can see it is gonna review each and everything and then gonna delete everything for you. If you don't want to continue in that particular manner, you can simply take this console and delete whatever you want. This is not that much advisable because we are talking about the automation over here, but both ways it can work out. There's not one single way. Now you see here, it is giving me all these informations and everything that this will be destroyed. And do you really want to destroy all resources? Okay. If yes, then I'll simply type yes, and then it will basically proceed further. So simply I'll go for no. Destroy, cancel. Okay. Because it will take time. That is the reason I am not destroying it. Now, next example which I have taken over here is Azure app. So what I'll do, I'll clean these files. Otherwise, you'll get confused with that. And now here is my another code that will generate my entire environment, which will be having two virtual machines. Now see here, Azure RM virtual machines VM count two. If you have to do the same thing manually, you have to go through the entire procedure, then deal with it one by one. But here I have just written the number that I want and it will spin those two virtual machines for me. Okay. And everything is now mentioned over here. You can go through this. What is the password? What is the length? What is the network? Which subnet you need to use? Everything can be configured from here. But the initialization procedure, everything goes in the same manner only. I am in the Azure VM, so I'll go for cd dot dot back, and I have Azure app. These are the files which are available over here. Same procedure, Terraform init. It will basically initialize the whole scenario again for me. If you are doing it, it will be initializing for the first time, then it will download the content. It will download. See, these scripts which I have created, these are in KBs, kilobyte format. Okay, these are in KB sizes. But the application, the Terraform application which is getting downloaded, it can go up to MBs. Okay. So overall folder size can be like if I have two extensions available over here. So it is going somewhere around 600 MB or something. But when you run the code for the first time, it is gonna download the modules and plugins and everything, and then basically it deals with that. So that is how you initialize. Next is Terraform plan. It is gonna plan what's gonna happen, and you can see there will be a long detailed code available over here. Okay, it will plan, it will show you that this is what is gonna happen, this is what it is gonna create or modify or whatsoever your plan is. So planning is must before you proceed further. The same piece of codes can be executed, same piece of code can be executed anywhere in any folder within your file system. Just make sure, now see here, just make sure that you have file name .tf in it. Okay, you can see here, whatever is plus, that means that will be added. There are no red minuses, that means nothing is getting removed from here. These things will be executed, these things will be created. So I'm okay with that. Next is Terraform apply. So when you do this Terraform apply, it will validate each and everything again, and then directly it will start deploying the code. So this will create two virtual machines. It will install IIS. On top of that, it will connect to a load balancer or single IP address. And I will have to use my same one public IP to access the data, and it will generate that for me. It will take some time, but it will basically generate that for me. And when I take the same IP and put it in two different browsers or refresh it multiple times, you will see that the virtual machine names are getting changed. Okay, so just leave it as it is for some time. Meanwhile, I will refresh the code. You can see it is creating several things over here. It's creating subnet. Okay, let's wait for it. You can see here it is working on two things parallelly. Azure Windows Virtual Machine dot VM0 and VM1. Because in my code I've given count as 2. Because of that, it's working like this. Okay, before we move on to anything else, I have a question for you guys. You can type its answer in the chat window and let's see how many of you can give the correct answer. Today we are working on Terraform, and last week we have worked on Ansible. Okay. What is the difference between Ansible and Terraform? And which one should be used? One single question. Difference between Terraform and Ansible, and what is the difference between the two? Come on, I'm waiting for your answers. It's taking time. Fine. Meanwhile, I'll respond to your queries. So basically, difference between Ansible and Terraform is, see, both are used in the automation. Okay, both are used in the automation. But when you have to build the entire environment, resources when you need to create resources like virtual machine, virtual network, subnet, gateways, IP addresses, all these environment you have to create. For that, you can go you can simply go for Terraform. But when it comes to the configuration part, You need to configure your virtual machines. You need to configure your applications. Then at that particular time, you can simply go for Ansible. Ansible will basically make sure that whatever configuration you need for a particular application will be modified or will be created properly. Ansible will take care of that. Okay, so that is the major thing between the two. So remember, in this particular manner, both can be used together. With Terraform, you can first build your environment, and then using the Ansible, you can configure your applications onto that particular servers that you have created using Terraform. Okay, so this is one single series, you can say, okay, in your pipeline that you can simply implement and deal with it. This is how basically it works. Okay, so that is the reason here it becomes very easy to you can say integrate it with any other DevOps tool as well. Okay, so I think we should wait for some more time so that it can be created properly. Uh, okay, the configuration is completed. Bhagya, just give us a minute. Okay, so here you can see, guys, all the resources, everything is done. It was quite faster. It took overall 4 minutes, 24 seconds to deploy 16 resources. And here you can see I've got one IP address also. Now I'll copy this IP over here. Okay. And I will just paste it in the web browser. Hit it. And you can see it says my VM1 because that is the first virtual machine. Now I'll simply refresh it. Okay, I'm not getting anything else. There it is. My VM2. IP is same. 40, 88, 132, 31. IP is same, but I am able to access the second virtual machine onto my same IP address. So if you have to create an environment where you'll be having two virtual machines or more than that, and then you need to load balance them, and then there's an application that needs to be created on them, everything can be done using these kind of codes. Okay, I have my second virtual machine available. I'll do one thing. I'll take the same IP and there it is. You can verify the IPs I'm using is same, but it is showing a different output. This all is done by just simple program which I have created over here, which I've written over here. Okay, so this is how basically you can play around with your code and you can simply run your entire environment easily. Okay. Now, in case if you have to delete these resources, one of the command I already told you. Okay. Now, here, if in case you have to delete only one single resource out of it, okay, then in that case, what you can do is you can simply use the same command Terraform destroy, and then you can use a parameter called target. Okay, here the command is Terraform destroy and hyphen target parameter you can use, and then you can simply mention the entire detail of that particular uh, resource that you want to delete, and that will simply delete your resource. Okay,